Hey everyone, welcome to Lisa and Michael Save the World. I'm Lisa D'Amico.
I'm Michael Kraft.
And we are here to laugh, talk, converse, question, analyze art.
Yes, we are.
And a lot of other things that we don't expect most of the time.
And we also look for, if you have anything that you want to ask us, you can always ask questions, and we can always answer them on future episodes.
Yeah, message us. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Lisa and Michael Save the World.
And YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube.
We're everywhere. So let's get started.
Okay.
What should we do first?
Let's start off with Artholes.
Oh, okay. Artholes. Mine's kind of quick.
Okay.
So, and also my art
let's have a quickie.
Is also ties in with art history.
Okay.
It's not art. It is not our art history segment yet.
Okay.
But it's got the element in it.
Okay.
So my art hole is Edgar Degas, who was a painter in the late 1800s.
Okay.
Now most people know him for his incredibly popular series of ballerinas, which I'm going to show Michael right now because I know this will be a good reminder. But you definitely know his,
that definitely looks
now what people don't know is that Edgar Degas was sexist to me to a disgusting degree. And he often would refer to women as animals. And
well, this was back when?
This is about, I would say, the 1890s.
Oh.
And CNN did a very good article on Edgar Degas and his famous ballet dancers called The Sordid Truth Behind Degas' Ballet Dancers. And I recommend that everybody reads it. It's a lengthy article, but it's definitely worth reading because people feel like he's paying tribute to these ballerinas in the painting, in the many paintings he did of them, when that's not actually the case. Like I said, he was very sexist. He referred to women as animals. And the way we think of ballerinas now is very different than the way ballerinas were back then, over 100 years ago. So, their life included very often work in the sex trade as well. So yes. So
little side work.
Yeah.
To pay the bills.
Yeah, and if you look at Degas' paintings, the faces of the ballerinas are not beautiful, and very often they're in poses that are not traditionally flattering. Usually poses of dress, undress, fixing their clothes. Sometimes when we see a ballerina, we think, beauty and grace, and that's all very true. But for Edgar Degas, the perspective was different, and I think we give him too much credit here in the 20th century for his paintings. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So that's my art hole.
That's your art hole. Okay. All right. So we got a lesson in ballerinas and what they were all about in the 1800s. Okay, so my art hole, and Lisa will be very thrilled to know that it's not a child knocking over a priceless piece of art or a person or whatever. I still think there are art holes. This art hole, my category of art hole this week is, it takes me back. Let's go back. Picture this. Some time ago, when I first entered college, I actually went for technical theater. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, remember, because we actually met in high school doing the plays.
That's right. Okay.
So I SUNY Purchase was the place to go for theater.
Yes, absolutely.
At that time, I don't know if it still is,
area,
but so I went for technical theater, and it was totally different, obviously, from what we did in high school. But at the same time, the professors there were not easy, and the classes usually started off in 2 groups, and I think it was like a total of maybe 30 people in both, groups.
Okay.
By the time that your 4 years passed, so I guess they were seniors, there was usually like an average of 4 of them left.
Whoa.
Yeah, 4 of them left. They would and I know that theater is probably a grueling schedule and process, but they just worked you right from the beginning to weed you out. And obviously I did. I ended up, because
it worked.
It worked because you ended up really not learn. I mean, I guess some people did learn, obviously, but you just had no time to even think about learning anything specific, because you would go from class to class to maybe working on a set of a play that they were going to be putting on, and then after that was done, you may have another assignment that you'd have to work on. We would find ourselves working way into the middle of the night and then getting up and doing it again. And I understood that they were trying to find out like what your stamina was, but I felt like that could have waited. Like, let us learn, like really learn, instead of like just having it thrown at you and learning it kind of half-assed, and then throw us into that mix, into like the scheduling. And I'm sure this happens in a lot of schools. I think also, some of and I'm going to say it, I don't care. Some of those professors, they're frustrated because they didn't really make it into what they're teaching. So I'm sure that this goes on in many categories, or many, not only theater or art or whatever.
Many areas.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of sad because, they're taking away from the learning experience. I understand that, it must be frustrating when you don't do what you set out to do. But, but if you take on the job of a professor, you should at least, want to pass something on. It was almost like they didn't want to. They didn't want you to make it. So anyway, that's my art hole. That's my art hole.
Okay.
But I'm not bitter.
Not at all.
No, not bitter at all.
Okay. I understand where you're coming from. And you know what? In a way, that was kind of good for you because it helped you decide and pushed you into what you're still doing now.
And something else. Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know I'm a former teacher, as many people know. I think a lot of educators would take issue with what you're saying. They would say things like, well, this seems like, real life training, which is how much better can you get from an educational institution than really getting a sense of what it would be like to be in that industry.
Right.
But
that was what they
do work late into the night, and they do work sometimes multiple projects at once and so on. And I think going from high school to college, depending on what your major is, can be a very surprising change for a lot of students.
Yes. Oh, that was their idea. And like I said, I totally get it. My thing was, let us learn first. Right. Let us learn these things. They wanted things so specific, but how can you, doing some of these things at 2:00 in the morning after a full day, you're not really learning. We're paying to learn, let us get through a year or two. Or even, switch it up and do like a semester of learning, and then you get thrown into something.
If any educators have complaints, please direct them to Michael.
Be my guest, because unfortunately, I think I'm right.
And what's new?
Educate.
So now it's time for art history.
Okay.
Right?
We can do art history.
Yeah, let's do art history.
Well, we have 2 more, but it's fine.
We have 2 more?
Influences.
Oh, art history and influences.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to do influences?
It's up to you.
Let's do art history.
Let's do art history.
Okay. This one I think is fun, and I think you will enjoy it.
Okay.
I wanted to share with Michael one of my personal favorites from the 20th century. Favorite 3D artists, one of my favorite sculptors. Her name is Dorothy Gillespie, and she's from the East Coast, which of course is like, she's no longer with us, but she only died recently, and she would do these incredible, beautiful, large, bold, bright, exuberant
Okay, I'm
sculptures.
waiting to see.
Nondescript. So
Got it.
this is Dorothy Gillespie's work. And this is actually Dorothy Gillespie. Oh, and here she is. This is a great photo because she's in front of a bunch of her pieces. So those are made out of metal. They're made out of, I think they're made out of, if I'm not mistaken, aluminum. And they're, like I said, they're large. Whether they're freestanding or mounted on the wall, they're really large, really bright, really engaging. I just love them. And usually I try to give Michael something that he'll either like frown at or make him cringe. But this is actually something that I feel like is just pure joy.
Yeah.
I just
it's
love
very
it.
cool. They're very cool looking. I love the colors.
Yeah.
And and it's metal.
Yeah, it's metal.
Wow.
And she curls the metal almost like ribbon. It's beautiful. That's the perfect way of describing it, ribbons of color. That's what she does. I just wish I had gotten to meet her, and I never did. But she's really awesome. And also what I happen to like about her, in addition to her work, is that she was very much supportive of artists, and especially women artists.
Yeah, I just caught a glimpse of that.
Yeah.
So, that's great.
Yeah, because she was like, why are we being called women artists? Female, we are just artists. And she's exactly right. And she was one of these artists who promoted other artists, supported other artists, encouraged. And I just love everything about her work and about, her ethic as well. So she's just a really great artist and person all around.
We had a good art history today.
Yeah.
We had a good. Her name sounds familiar, and I don't know why. I'm sure I must have heard of her.
She exhibits her foundation, called the Dorothy Gillespie Foundation, exhibits a lot on the eastern coast of the United States.
Okay.
So maybe you saw her work somewhere. Who knows?
Possibility.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
And if you haven't, you will.
Yes.
So that's our art history today. Our art history today. Got it.
And now we're on to influences.
Influences. What's your influence? I'm curious. I'm getting frightened.
I'm looking at my shirt.
I like your shirt.
Yeah, you like my shirt. Okay, well, she's not getting it. But
Anyway.
Anyway.
Is it Freak Show or is it
American Horror Story? Yeah, American Horror Story really influenced. For quite a while, I would, before the show would come on, they would usually announce what the theme was, and then I would like scurry to try to get together a theme, to get together a series of photos based on just what I thought, how I interpreted their theme. So I did a freak show.
I remember. Great.
I kind of did an asylum, but I called mine straitjacket because it was kind of based on people doing crazy things and ending up in a straitjacket, and also the Joan Crawford movie Straitjacket.
I've watched that with you.
Yes. And then Hotel, which is probably my favorite one that I did.
Wait, but is Hotel your favorite series?
No.
I know
Hotel is my least favorite. I had great hopes for Hotel, but it just tanked for me. But my series, actually, I did like 3. I think I did 3. That was probably my favorite series out of the photo series.
I'm surprised you haven't talked about this sooner.
You know what? Well, because I had so many, I kind of went from childhood on up. So now we're kind of current now. Yeah.
I didn't realize you were going chronologically.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I was.
I like
so, but Hotel was like my favorite. And I also incorporated anything with a hotel. So Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, Stephen King, The Shining,
right.
Things like that. And the funny part is that it got, I used to submit photos to an online magazine, which no longer exists, but when they had put this one in their online magazine.
Mm-hmm.
The guys were either, it was great. The guy had messaged me, the owner of the online magazine, or the creator, whatever, and he had messaged me. He goes, I didn't know if I should let some of these comments get through, but he figured they would. There was about 6 comments, and 3 were positive, and 3 were like, actually called them snuff photos. And I thought to myself, I didn't murder these people for the photos, but yeah, it was very interesting. It was, I incorporated a lot of, the sexuality of men and violence into one thing. And, some people, they're on those online magazine sites purely for the sex of it and not for anything creative. But it was really, it was really interesting. I'll put a screenshot of one of them.
Everybody, you need to see what he's talking about.
Yeah. So
these different series that were inspired by American Horror Stories are fantastic. So I'm glad that you finally talked about it.
Yes, love American Horror Story.
Yes, so
yes.
Yay.
And your influence?
My influence is actually I want to show you my art influences work. My art influence.
Oh gosh, you gotta get the password right.
Oh, here we go. I'm just going straight for the glasses because there's no point in trying to wing it without them. My art influence is actually a local artist who I don't think you've ever met.
A local artist I've never met?
No. Her name is Pat Hickman.
Okay.
And you might be surprised. This is Pat. That's a picture of Pat right there.
Okay.
And this is Pat's work. All of this actually is Pat's work.
Oh, that's cool.
This is Pat's work, all Pat's work. Now, what I love about Pat's work, you look at that, you don't think of my work. My work is colorful.
Oh, totally different.
I'm a painter, the whole thing. Anyway, Pat's work, what I love about it, what I find inspiring is she does things in almost a surprising way, and she uses really material that people would normally throw away, and she creates these incredibly complex, interesting pieces. So her pieces are mainly made from animal products, bones, membrane. Okay. Yeah. But she does it in a way where, I want to call it like recycled art, but it's not. It's so much more than that. I want to, applaud her for being an inspiration to me, for always trying to think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole bunch of her pieces, and you would never think that these were made from like animal membrane, but they are. And she weaves with them, she stitches them together, the texture, the color, everything. So she's so off the beaten path in a way, but yet the talent, the merit, the meaning are all there, and she just inspires me all the time. And I'm lucky enough to know her. So
that's very cool.
Hickman,
very cool. Yay! So we got through another episode.
We did.
We got through another episode.
This one went very smoothly, I think. Except for my glasses.
Except for the password. The password. But it's okay.
Everybody's been there.
Yes.
I mean, who hasn't forgotten a password?
All the time. So stay tuned. Like, subscribe, comment, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
See you next time.